Hi everyone, it's me back again. So now I have prepared all the data and I'm ready to tell you the story about our trips in August. So in August we made a cross Europe family trip, Poland to Ukraine, Ukraine back to Poland, and from Poland to Amsterdam and back. And this was compressed in 2 weeks. So in this video I want to do like a Star Wars. I will start from path 4. I will start from our trip from Gdansk, Poland to Amsterdam, because yeah, it's really the environment of the Tesla. We have Tesla superchargers everywhere, so it meant to be like that. And after that I will tell you the story of our trip to Ukraine, how it looks like when a Tesla is in an environment without superchargers. Let's go. So we needed to depart on Friday to be in Amsterdam on Saturday and return on Sunday to regenerate before returning to the office on Monday. So 2,300 kilometers in 42 hours. Another reason to drive at night, less traffic. You have probably heard about Stau on the autobahn, and yeah, it's possible to drive with a higher average speed because you just put your maximum speed on cruise control and keep it. The overall setup was the following: 4 adults, 2 suitcases, 2 backpacks and some small bags. We did everything possible to get maximum range out of our vehicle. Chill mode, aero caps, tire pressure set a bit higher to 3.1 bars. Battery preconditioning was activated shortly before departure. We charged to 97 or 96% before we in our garage before we left. Then we used autopilot whenever possible, and it was set to plus 10 km per hour above the speed limit. So in reality it's like 9 km per hour GPS speed. In Netherlands I have decreased this to like plus 5 km per hour and also adapted to the traffic. You will see a better planner plot of actual car speed, elevation, power and external temperature. But don't trust the distance and average speed data from ABRP. They are not always correct because they depend on GPS signal and internet connection, which is not stable when you cross the border. And yes, it depends on internet connection of the car. Tesla has this premium connectivity, so it has a roaming across the Europe, but when you cross the border it needs to switch from one operator to another, and there is a gap in connectivity. Also, I have verified Tesla odometer readings via Google Maps, and they are spot on with that tire pressure, just 0.04% difference, which is negligible. I will therefore rely on Tesla readings in regards to the distance traveled for average speed calculations. I have also collected complete information about charging speeds, total time spent on charger and on a stop, because these are different, and also charging costs. But this will not fit in this video. I had to post just the raw videos first, just to understand what I had in my trip. I will also show you consumption from the Tesla trip computer. We can get percentage charged used and calculate real-life range for each trip leg and conditions of the trip. Full battery range, including a buffer, also will be calculated by dividing full battery capacity, which is 73.5 kilowatt hours in my case, by consumption. How slow is LG pack for a real family trip scenario? Was it slowing us down? Was it possible to notice the difference between V2 and V3 superchargers? You can guess from this data. Also, the fun exercise, you can also guess if Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus would be able to take the same exact route with the same number of stops as we did in our long range Model 3. So first part is Gdansk. We departed with 96% status of charge from our garage, and basically the start of the trip was when we got our passenger in the market square at night. So it was 10 p.m. 51 minutes, so 9 minutes till 11, and we had 95% state of charge at that time. By the way, the market square of the Gdansk has more than 850 years of history, and fragments of the original old city walls and towers are still available. Tesla Trip Planner recommends making only 3 supercharger stops to reach Amsterdam, even if you don't have a full charge. First stop it recommends to do in Poznań, V2 supercharger, still in Poland, but then each of the stops would be about an hour. So 2 remaining stops would be in Germany. A better route planner suggested us 5 shorter stops and a route to avoid an overloaded and paid Polish A2 autobahn to go via Szczecin to the first supercharger already in Germany, and we selected this route. An initial assumption was to attempt the longest stretch first, more than 4 hours driving in one go without stops to the first Germany supercharger, but in reality biostop was required around 1 hour after departure, so we did a stop on a Moja station with the Greenway charger. Also, fog on the road made me feel sleepy, so a coffee shot was really essential. Generally, road quality on this stretch is very good, and I would recommend it as an alternative to making a loop via autobahns. Same time, but fewer kilometers and relatively lower travel costs. It's interesting to go there also during the day to observe the terrain. I think the nature views are good. EV charger situation is also good. There are one unit of 40-50 kilowatt DC stations from Greenway and Orlen along the route, separated by not more than 100 kilometers. So you can take convenience stops in locations with chargers. Just check the map of the PlugShare. If we count from the market square, the time of the first leg was 1 hour 14 minutes and the average speed was 73 kilometers per hour. Not 65 reported by ABRP, including stop in the beginning. So we kept plus 10 kilometers per hour above the speed limit all the time, and temperatures were low. You can see that we have like 12 or 13 degrees centigrade, but consumption was great, on par with the typical consumption with which Tesla uses to show claimed range. So consumption was even lower during the last 50 kilometers of our trip, which is great. In total, we have spent just about 20% of our battery, or 14 kilowatt hours, to travel 92 kilometers. With one stop via city country roads, this gives us like 463 kilometers of range without lower buffer, enough range to travel all the way to Utzkerfelde supercharger in Germany. If you adhere to speed limits strictly, this will allow you to get even lower consumption and even more range, so you can even skip the first supercharger and go to the next one, which is V3 supercharger in Panketal, which I would actually recommend as a point of stop. Stretch is fine. For most of modern EVs, of course, standard range plus will make it no problem. So the charger of Greenway in this Człuchów on Moja station wasn't like very fast. It was outputting maximum 40 kilowatts. So we saw like even less, like about 30 kilowatts. But yeah, who cares? We spent only 12 minutes on that stop. Just to use the convenience of the fuel station to get more coffee, unplugged and go. We didn't wait to get some specific amount of energy into our battery. And this station is open 24/7, so I can totally recommend it as a stop on your trip. For Greenway stations, you need a RFID card or an application to activate the Greenway charger. So if you download the app, you need to create an account, use your credit card, and then you can start charging. So yeah, a bit more clumsy than supercharger, but when there are no superchargers available, it's better than nothing, you know. And the cost, it's more expensive than superchargers. They charge you 209 Polish zloty per 1 kilowatt hours, which goes out of the charger, not the kilowatt hours which goes to the battery. So you will have losses because Tesla will preheat the battery, and you will also pay for this. And yeah, so we saw speeds like from 28 to 36 kilowatts, and but charging speed was not an issue. We didn't require this charging stop. We only did this to follow the rule, always be charging. And we departed with 84% of the battery. So the next stretch from Człuchów to Utzkerfelde in Germany, this stretch was 3 hours, too long for us in the middle of the night. So we pushed our limits to do a bio break actually at Supercharger in Utzkerfelde, already in Germany, but unfortunately toilet was not available. Bad. also the fog became denser, and we were going and we were, I was a bit stressed to not hit any animal, deer, whatever, and we saw some animals on our way. It seems that they don't afraid the Tesla because we don't have engine noise. I don't know, they're just standing and looking at us and we looking at them, and Tesla headlights are great to to notice these animals, which is good. Still, we have noted quite low consumption in the middle of our way before we hit the highway portion and autobahn portion, so that regardless of the temperature, which was still low, we still had quite good consumption. Also, I have missed a turn in Szczecin due to the roadworks. That was not the only time, but I was back on track. And yeah, also, which is good, car has activated preheating of the battery not far from Utzkerfelde, probably because battery was not too cold, or V2 supercharger could not output more than 140 kilowatts, so we didn't need to preheat much. We kept our speed again slightly above the speed limit. German autobahn unlimited part was too short to even use it. Then we hit roadworks again, and we arrived at Utzkerfelde with 21% status of charge as at 3:20 a.m. in the morning. So we used 63% of state of charge, approximately 44 kilowatt hours, to travel 265 kilometers for this stretch. Consumption, including autobahn driving, was still quite low, 165 watt-hours per kilometer. Projected range 420 kilometers or 445 kilometers on the full battery. So even assuming the same consumption in standard range plus, it still has a healthy buffer from its 55 kilowatts battery to travel the same stretch as we did. So again, standard range plus will make it no problem. Utzkerfelde supercharger, as I said, not recommended at night because you will not get to the toilet, and this was the reason why we haven't stayed there long. We didn't want to pay to buy coffee or any services because we were stripped of the our basic needs. Now, trip duration by that time, but by the arrival, was already more than 4 hours. And we have traveled by that time 355 almost kilometers with the average speed 84 kilometers per hour, and no sleep for me, and I was the only driver all the way to the Amsterdam. If you drive at night, skip this location if you can and your range allows, whatever, because on the next stop, like in Panketal, you get a 24/7 station, all the services you need, no problem. Also with free supercharger. Theoretically, car estimated we need 1 hour for the full charge, and we have achieved like 138 kilowatts maximum speed until approximately 26% of state of charge. This is when our LG pack starts to drop its speed. And probably if we drive slower and stick to the speed limits, we could drive all the way to the next supercharger in Panketal, but it was not possible from biological reasons. Now we go to the Brandenburg region, Panketal supercharger with 3. This was a short stretch. Most of the way we are autobahn, and we used only 24% of the battery, 17 kilowatt hours, to travel like 79 kilometers. Again, standard range plus will make it no problem. And we arrived with a consumption 213 watt hours per kilometer. We had still 32% of state of charge, so too low to get full speed. Projected range 330 kilometers if we go on such autobahn with such speed. However, I even pushed the speed above 150 once, so no problem. Trip duration was 5 hours 26 minutes by the time of arrival. We have covered 434 kilometers with the average speed of 80 kilometers per hour. So yeah, this station is HEM fuel station, night travel approved, and also 8 with 3 stalls. Much better than only 2 shared V2 superchargers with 4 stalls in Utzkerfelde. We received maximum speed 148 kilowatts at 32, but it quickly began to drop. Basically, it's better to arrive low, to have higher speeds. But when you need to rest, it doesn't matter. We got everything we need. Charging stop lasted us only 21 minutes, and during the first 12 minutes we added enough charge to reach the next V3 supercharger. So we basically overcharged. So we humans needed more time than the car. Next supercharger was Irksleben V3 supercharger, proposed by the Tesla trip planner. By the way, in Polish internet in the roaming was so bad that we were happy to have Tesla internet, so we could. It was better to browse internet via web browser or Tesla than from our mobile phone. We drove through the outskirts of sleeping Berlin, and then we passed Potsdam and headed to this Irksleben supercharger straight on to the, in direction of the Amsterdam. And it was a V2 supercharger on another side of the road, but our navigation suggested us V3 because we have Model 3, we have a CCS2 plug, and we can, leave V2 supercharger to all the Teslas. Again, the stretch was quite short, only 174 kilometers in less than 2 hours, so standard range plus would make it easily. Longer driving would be hard for me because of the sleepless night. So we arrived with a consumption of exactly 200 watt-hours per kilometer. We arrived with 22% status of charge. We used only 50% of the battery, and I would project the range as 350 almost kilometers, or slightly more, like 367 till complete stop. So I have pushed again the speed to 182 kilometers on unlimited path, and consumption was still low. And we arrived at 6:25 a.m. more than 7 hours of night driving, sleepless night, and the trip duration by now was 7 hours 34 minutes, and we have covered 608 kilometers by that time with average speed 80 kilometers per hour. And this supercharger is also located at the Ham fuel station. Again, recommended. We had a nice small talk with SR Plus, a driver from Germany. He was returning from the Italy trip with his family and said it was just a charm. Very good. Again, received just 159 kilowatts at 22%, maybe because battery preheating was not activated, or because the car estimated we will stay longer anyway. I don't know. Maybe stall was somewhat slow. We maybe could get better speed by changing the supercharger, but it doesn't matter for us, so we just stayed. Even after I had a coffee and a small talk, I just understood that my fatigue has kicked in big time, and coffee was not enough. I just need to take a nap, close my eyes, and wife even told me to do so. We could leave with enough charge to reach the next supercharger after just 17 minutes of stop, but I was completely offline by that time. As a result, we stayed almost an hour, and we have overcharged the car to 99%. That's exactly the point where the wife woke me up. So we disconnected to avoid supercharger blocking fee. So the next stretch was going to the Lauenau supercharger. We were trapped by autobahn closure or roadworks near Hanover, and we had to drive through the city. So it was not a nice, you drive slow, you have this traffic lights and nothing to see because it's not the historical center of the city. So yeah, a bit boring, but we had lower consumption. We have used 52% status of charge to drive 167 kilometers in 1 hour 35 minutes. Even though I have driven very fast on some stretches, our consumption was only 210 watt-hours per kilometer, and the theoretical range is 321 kilometers or 350 till complete discharge of the battery. Once again, the stretch is again totally good for standard range plus Model 3. So Lauenau is a hybrid V2 with 3 supercharger, and we used again V3 stall. A lot of stalls. Also we saw a Lego chargers there, and there was a big parking for trucks, hotel, a big fuel station. So we arrived there at 8:57 a.m. Trip duration was 9 hours. By that time we have covered 775 kilometers with average speed of 86 kilometers per hour. This is a ESSO 24/7 fuel station. It has some additional amenities for tier drivers, but bad thing for tourists. Toilets require coins. you need 1 or 2 euro coin to use the toilet, which you may not have if you travel from another country. And so yeah, it was a bit embarrassing to ask for coins at the cash desk. Why not to do it via Google Pay or Apple? I don't know. So we actually spent time going around looking for a way to get some money to exchange them for coins, and we achieved just 99 kilowatts at 49% at this restall. Again, no preheating, too high state of charge, but doesn't matter for us. And at 9:33 we were prepared to leave with 84%. Tesla planner stick to the plan and drove us to the Amsterdam V2 supercharger on the border with Netherlands. And the range is fine to reach this destination. We again had too high state of charge at the arrival, 40%. We also met Tesla transport with Model Ys and Model 3. So you have Model Y above Model 3, and you can clearly see that due to the same wheelbase, very similar lengths, both cars has very similar lengths, and as a result you should have the same internal length of the passenger compartment if you consider to sleep in the back of the car. Height and width are apparently bigger in Model Y than Model 3, but the length is the same. So we left the supercharger at 9:35 with 84.5% state of charge. I have one more trick to share about this supercharger. Basically, you can avoid spending some coins if you use the truck's parking. When you go to the truck's parking lot, you have a ticket which gives you 2 hours parking for free. So the BMW drivers use this trick actually with BMW Z3 and Z4, or BMW, whatever you like to call them. And we use this trick to get to the free toilet for truck drivers later on at night. So then we go to this Amsterdam supercharger. We started at 9:35 a.m. We have driven 166 kilometers in 1 hour 32 minutes, used 30 kilowatt hours of our energy, and which is 44% of charge, and consumption was low, 181 watt hours per kilometer. We drove also via some nice terrain with hills. Not everything was via autobahn, so the consumption was not high. Traffic was also preventing us from driving at the speed limit. We have also started to feel very tired, especially myself again. So the stretch is approved for Standard Range Plus, and yeah, I needed to stop and sleep. This time it was like huge requirement. So the projected range with this consumption of my car is 378 kilometers or 460 complete stop. We arrived at 11:08, traveled 12 hours 17 minutes, 942 kilometers covered, and average speed 76.7 kilometers per hour. Again, large supercharger hub with 3 I added but not yet activated. A Lego charger had only 2 stalls here, but one was like disconnected or not working, so make your conclusions. Also, there is a place to walk and play with your dog. Fast food is also nearby, so quite a convenient place. So we arrived with 40%, spot on with Tesla's predictions. No need to use a better planner on such a trip, and we had no such possibility because the roaming internet connection was very bad. Maximum observed charging speed was 124 kilowatts at 40%, because it was V2 and we arrived too high. Actually, we needed to charge only 7% plus 10% buffer to reach our destination. Tesla suggested charging time as 15 minutes, but I had to take sleep, this time like more than an hour, and longest sleep it was, Yoda approves. So we finished our charging at 94%. I have changed the parking slot, disconnected from the supercharger, and just continued to sleep. So we departed on the final leg to the Amsterdam at 13:11. Official speed limits are lower in the Netherlands. So we departed in our final leg directly to Amsterdam at 1 p.m. 11 minutes. 13:11. Official speed limits are lower in Netherlands, so we have driven together with traffic and sticked to its speed. Based on the elevation graph, it's clear we are now in the Netherlands, so some parts of the trip are below the sea level. Overall consumption has drastically dropped again during the last leg. Lower speed, higher temperatures, and we are, riding below the sea level, so from the hill. Even at 66%, our predicted range was close to 350 kilometers, with a consumption lower than typical 138 watt-hours per kilometer. So I bet Standard Range Plus would have even lower consumption and also no problem for this stretch. So we arrived at Amsterdam after driving 179 kilometers. Consumption was about 144 watt-hours per kilometer, and we arrived with 54% state of charge, so too high. We have used just 37% of the battery to arrive there, and the projected range with the such consumption is like 500 kilometers on the full battery, 508, so really close to VLTP figures excluding the buffer. And we arrived at 3 p.m. 15:10 after traveling 16 hours and 19 minutes. So our total trip is to the Amsterdam is 1,121 kilometers with average speed 68.7, so roughly 69 kilometers per hour. So as we were just the transporters for our two passengers, which have checked into the hotel, we were not allowed to go upstairs to have a rest, a shower, whatever, for epidemiological rules of the hotel. And in the meantime, I have located Type 2 superchargers at the hotel parking lot and decided to use the principle always be charging. Charger required RFID card, so I randomly pulled out my main GAU card, which was expensive. And yeah, my first advice, if you arrive with more than 20% state of charge, do not charge there. You can charge the supercharger on the way back at much lower price. Second advice, if you arrive on Sunday or Saturday, nearby parking areas are open and free to use. So the parking near the hotel was also a paid one during non-working days. Advice number 3, don't try to find a cash machine ATM on non-working day. Last one was an Amsterdam Arena train station and it was closed. In the end, I had to use foreign exchange service, paid some commission for this, and it's good I have made it 5 minutes till closure. So that was our trip. We have driven back on the same day after short time period. I had no sleep during this. And I will continue in the part number 2. Thank you very much. If you like, please press like, and if you want to see more detailed travel reports about Tesla Model 3 and some analysis, is it possible to drive Tesla on family trip, long distance? Would you be fine with a shorter range car? Please subscribe. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.